Hey everyone! So a few weeks back I demoed the Sphen plugin from Audified, and just the other week the guys at Audified reached out to me and told me about their new bass plugin called Peridot, which is a mid-gain bass module compared to the high-gain one that Sphen is. And they asked me to, they asked me if I wanted to make some presets for Peridot or Peridot, or depending on how French you want to be. Let's go with Peridot because I like the way it sounds. Anyways, I digress. They asked me to make some presets for this cool plugin, and I said, of course, I would like to do that. So today we're gonna go through the 3 presets that I've dialed in, and what basses I used and what context I used to, tweak these presets in. First up, let's take a quick look at Peridot and compare it to Sphen. So visually they are pretty much identical. The only difference is that it says Sphen high gain bass module and Peridot mid gain bass module here. Aside from that, you get essentially the very same features. You have your level knob here, you have the tone spot, which you use to tweak where you want that sweetness to be, if you want it to be more scooped or more mid-heavy. You have your blend knob here for how much of the distorted signal you want to blend in with the clean one. You have your gain here. You have 5 different cabinets and 5 different amps. You got your input level, your output level. You can also bypass the cabinet if you want to and use your own IRs. And you've also got a noise gate that you can set for learn mode so that it learns when it's supposed to, make things quiet and whatnot. So as you can see, it's identical to Sphen, with the exception that this one is the mid-gain bass module and Sphen is the high-gain bass module. So with that being said, let's take a look at the first preset that I've dialed in. It's called the Almost Clean One. For this preset, I used the North Star SCU sub bass built by Peter Naglic. It's an acoustic bass with silicone strings. This bass has quite a low output, as you can see from the ljudkurvar, or wave files, as you say in English. Yeah, I think this preset would sound particularly good with a P bass if you dial down the input level and you got some flat wound strings on it, and I think it will work just fine in that context. So here's how this preset sounds in a full mix.
No light shines here, although the vision stands so very clear. Light up their way.
So I've got some post-processing going here. I've got the PSP Infinity Strip for some additional tone shaping. I've got the CL76 from Waves Audio for some compression, and I've got some EQ going as well. Essentially just a massive hi cut and some bass boost. So I'm gonna bypass all of the additional plugins so you can just hear how the Peridot sounds. So I'm gonna solo the bass track now. So here is just with Peridot and no additional plugins. Some compression, some EQ, and some PSP Infinity Strip. And like I said, I think this preset will sound great with a P bass, with flat wounds, and if you dial back the input gain a wee bit, I think you will enjoy this preset as well, hopefully. So next up we have a preset that I've dubbed the Willpower Metal One. For this one I used my Yamaha BB734A bass, and on the bass I've got the DiMarzio Willpower pickup, which is a pickup that is very well suited for rock and metal in my humble opinion. So here's what that preset sounds like in the context of a full mix. Here's the Accident of Birth cover that we released just the other week. It features Mr. Luca Della Fave on the guitar, Vincenzo on vocals, and Mr. Manny on the drums. So here is how that sounds. And just like with the other preset, I've got some post-processing going here. I've got the CLA 76 and some post-EQ. As you can see, I'm just essentially taking away some of the sub-frequencies and boosting some of the bass and some of the mids to give it some additional bite. And yeah, we've got some bass compression going as well. So here's just a bit. Really happy with how this preset turned out. It's really gnarly and mean and aggressive, and it cuts through a mix really nicely, yet it still has those nice and supported lows that you want from your bass tone. So that's the Willpower Metal One. And last but not least, we have the one that I've dubbed the Angry Canadian One. And this is not a reference to Mr. Glenn Fricker. This is a reference to the bass that I used. I used my Dingwall Combustion 5-string for this one. This bass has been upgraded with the Dark Glass Electronics tone capsule preamp, and I boosted some of the high mids for this very recording. And here's what this preset sounds like in a full mix. So yeah, there you have it. That's the Angry Canadian One. Like with the previous presets, I've got the CLA 76 compressor going, and I've got the very same EQ settings that I used on the Willpower Metal preset. Essentially, it's just taking away some of the sub frequencies and boosting some of the more pleasant bass frequencies and some of the mids. So here's just the bass without the additional compression and the EQ. Adding compression. And EQ. And as you probably can see, I've got Helix Navy going as well, and I'm just using that for the pitch whammy to take this tune down the Mariana Trench and even deeper. So with that being said, let's end this little video on a high note down the Mariana Trench. I hope you enjoyed this little video and this short demonstration of these three presets that I've dialed in and that are included with Peridot, or Peridot if you want to say it that way. I prefer the French way, it sounds fancy, Peridot. Hope you enjoyed this little video anyways. Make sure to click the link in the description and head over to Audified's homepage and try this plugin out for yourself. It's really nice and gnarly and great in metal mixes in my humble opinion. So with that being said, let's end it on a low note down the Mariana Trench. Here we go. sure to hit that subscribe button, make sure to ring that bell, make sure to leave a comment if you like this little video and this short presentation of my 3 presets. And with all that being said and done, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys and gals and cats and dogs in the very next video. Until next time, take care. Bye!
But hey, I'm in the band. Would it be so hard?